Hey AJ, it's Steve. I wanted to just go ahead and try to put together a quick video for you on that calendar exercise. And so I'm going to actually just start over um, just in case I do this well enough to where I can share it with others. I have a student who was asking me to put together a video on how I do my calendar. And so this is just a quick video. I'm going to be doing it on a whiteboard and just sort of drawing some things up for you to help you to understand what it is that I do and how I manage my schedule. Now, one of the things that I have and that I start with is my vision for life. My vision for life helps me to know that in order for me to live and experience that life, I have to be able to control my schedule. I need margin in life in order to be able to do all the things that I would like to do. And so, once I have my vision for life, the first thing that we ask people to do is to take that and now put it into your day planner as if you are living and experiencing that life today. And it's a real eye opener for people. And the reality of the situation is, many people, if you're working 40 hours a week, and entrepreneurs are 50, 60, sometimes even more hours per week, you can't possibly live the life that you want to live if you're working that much. And we discover that for many people, you have to get your hours down. And as an entrepreneur, sometimes if you're working 50, 60 hours a week and you've been doing that for years, it's hard to comprehend how you can possibly get that down and still run a good business. And so I learned the art of managing my schedule. I also learned that being in the office 50 hours a week is not necessary. I think that most people who have jobs that they're required to be in an office for 40 or 50 hours a week, they're spending a lot more time than is necessary in the office because it's required of them. But the reality is they probably only work 15 to 20 hours actual work time while they're in the office, and the rest of the time they're just passing time for the sake of filling up 40 hours and being available, if people need it. And so I'm going to talk to you mostly about my coaching business. My coaching business is what requires the most of my time. And in order for me to be able to live and experience the life that I want to live, there's a couple of things. One, I basically make my schedule from 10 to 3. From 10 to 3, the reason I go from 10 to 3 is I want to protect my mornings. I figure that if I don't start work or doing anything until 10 o'clock, then I have enough quiet time in the mornings for me to be with the Lord, to be in my Bible, to do my Bible study, journal, and do all the things that I want to do. By 3 o'clock, if I'm wrapped up by 3 o'clock, I'm available for all of my kids' activities once they're home from school. And I can always be able to travel to a sports game, or I can be at home to help with homework or whatever it might be. I'm available. So this is where I try to contain my work days between 10 and 3. Now, as far as my coaching is concerned, I'm just going to break up between, I'm not working on the weekends, but I have, 5 days of work, and this 5 days is going to be between 10 and 3. And so if I have, if this here is what my day planner would look like, one of the things that I like to do is on Mondays, I like to keep Monday pretty open. I want to know what this is the day that I'm going to, plan the week out. I'm going to figure out and try to get all administrative tasks done, have meetings with the staff. And so I keep this pretty much open, and any admin that I need to be involved with during the week or any planning I need to do, I do on Monday. What I try to do is I try to put in the bulk of my coaching on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And so this would be coaching. And since I'm only doing it from 10 to 3, I also like to just still time block because my coaching, for all intents and purposes, comes in 30-minute and 1-minute blocks. And I like to just fill these up back to back. What I don't want to do is have to come into the office to do one 30-minute call on Wednesday at 10 o'clock and another 30-minute call at 2:30 on Wednesday. And that, because that time in between is wasted time then, because I just sit in the office and fill that time and wait for my next call. I'll fill it out there. I'll find stuff to do, and it might even be productive work that I get done. But what I try to do is avoid putting this, I try to stack my calls, and then Thursday and Fridays I try to keep available. And so on Thursday and Friday, um, I do one-on-one days with students who come in. I do emergency things for people when they need it, but I'm available on Thursday and Friday. So I try to not book those. Now, what will happen is they get filled up. People need me. There's things that come up. I do other stuff outside of coaching too. I'm doing real estate deals and things like that. People want to come into town. They meet with me. But, say I take somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, Steve, I got an emergency. I was wondering if you could, help me out, and I need to jump on the call with you." Um, Before, if they're calling me on Tuesday, I'm looking to see if I have an open space, somewhere on Wednesday to fill before I book a Thursday or Friday if it's open. If I already have stuff booked on Thursday, then I'll try to get them. I'll try to fill them in here or here, but I'm gonna try to get them in on Thursday. But if Friday is open, under no circumstance do I want to book a 30-minute call on Friday. That 30-minute call on Friday can then end up disrupting my whole day. Where if Friday is wide open, my wife and I can go on a day trip. I can do something. But if I got a 30-minute call in the middle of the day, I can't do that. So I try to always stack everything together. Another thing that I do, and the way that I schedule, if this is my week, I try to replicate this week one and week three. Week two might be a little bit different in the middle, but week four is almost always open. The last week of the month is open, and I can use that for, again, being a coach, creating content, creating a course, just more quiet time. But I'm always available. If somebody needs me, I'm there for them. But I have a lot of margin built in. And the reality of the situation is, if you look at my calendar, while it looks full, it's full with a whole lot of things outside of work. My real work calendar is typically Tuesday and Wednesday for about 5 hours, and an occasional, I'll only meet with one person who comes into town for a full one-on-one day. I'll only do that one time out of the week. It takes a lot out of me to do those days. I put a lot of mental energy into that, and I'm really tired. I don't like to do two of them in one week. It's a very rare circumstance that I'll do that. But in order for my clients to get the best of me, I only want to do one of them in a week. And so I do those on Thursdays and Fridays. And any Thursday or Friday that's available, that's what they're there for. I make myself available for people on those days. And so, again, I just try to guard everything. We have dinner as a family together every day, so I want to be finished with my work day so I can honor this and be home. And I've been operating with this schedule now for many, 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 many years. I can even say decades, to that I have been operating this way now, where I've learned to keep my work contained to a short period of time. And but it gives me margin. It doesn't mean I do nothing on these days. My Thursdays and Fridays can fill up. I mean, in fact, this is a Friday. I'm in my office doing this video right now. I did respond to a couple of people, but it's noon on Friday. I'm finished. I'm just doing some content, and really I had personal errands to do today. Was the number one reason I was coming into the office. But I address, emails and things like that. I address messages from students. But I try to use my time in such a way. Now, here, I want to share this one thing because I think this is extremely important. And this is when entrepreneurs really get burned out. If you're not creating this margin in your life, one of the things that happens is if you're working 50 hours a week and you're in business, stuff happens. There is always going to be the oops or the, oh crap, this thing just happened and I have to deal with it right now. For me, it's not that big of a deal because I have time to deal with it. But when I was working 50, 60 hours a week and then the oh crap moment happened and I had to deal with that on top of the 50 to 60 hours a week, that's when things got really stressful because not only did I have to get done all the other stuff I already committed to, now I had to deal with this other thing. And so, I want to just emphasize and stress, some people might think, oh, he could be working a lot more, he could be doing a lot more. But I also have many people tell me I'm very easygoing and they wish that they were more like me. And why don't things that happen in business bother me? And, a couple of reasons. Number one, I expect things to happen. I don't convince myself that I can build a business that runs perfectly and nothing's ever going to happen. I think that's a lie. We live in a fallen world and we can't avoid that. Secondly, I have the margin to deal with it. And so when things do happen, I have the time to be able to take care of it. I did have a period of time for about 2 months last year where I was getting a bunch of new projects going and I was working and I was stressed. And I'll tell you, when something happened, oh, it was heavy on me. I've only done that once in probably the last 10 years where I put myself into that position. And it wasn't that long ago. And in the midst of that, I was like, I don't understand why people would do this to themselves. And so, I want to challenge you and encourage you. Hopefully you'll learn something from this. And the way that you can do your schedule. If you have any questions about it, you want to talk more about it, feel free, just ask the questions. You can come to my Flip for Life Facebook group and, we can discuss this and discuss it in greater detail. Have a blessed day.